Welcome to Mini Workshop Magic. We're so excited for this mini workshops. Not only have they changed our business, but they're the foundation of our business. They're the foundation of a business that gives us freedom, that fills up our back end offer, that allows us to work when we want, and allows us to spend more time on the stuff we love in our business, teaching, supporting clients, building trainings, less
Mhm.
time on complicated launches and marketing.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to share with you.
We're going to start with some
Um,
real talk
yeah.
because chances are you're skeptical. You bought Mini Workshop Magic, but you're still like, huh, is this going to work? Is this flash, no substance? Even more though is, if you do launch a workshop, your audience is going to be skeptical. Even if you don't launch a workshop, your audience is skeptical. Because the reality is, at this point, as of recording this workshop, we have probably all been burned by big promises and gurus. We've bought the cheap low ticket offers, we've bought the high ticket offers, we bought the mid ticket offers, we bought memberships, we bought courses, we bought them all probably, and we've all kind of met our match. People that we love, and we've also probably met some folks who made really great promises. And so this is what we're up against as business owners: is how do we prove that we're not like them? Well, we try to create a bunch of trust and authority through content, social media, lead magnets, trainings, emails, launches. And then we cross our fingers and we hope that we stand out from the masses, and people buy our offers, people buy our things, people trust our expertise. And even after all of that, by industry standards, just crazy to us, maybe 1, 2, 3% of people in your audience actually buy something from you. Maybe 3, 4, 5% if you're like top tier. You've been building your strategy for years. You got everything dialed in. You're a marketing wizard, which means there's a huge portion of the people in your world who aren't going to buy, who don't buy from you. And the reality is, some of them are literally never going to buy. And that's okay. We all have things that we spend money on, things that we don't spend money on. I buy a lot of Lego. It's a dangerous habit. So therefore, I buy products on Lego, but other things I don't spend money on. Some people need a low risk option to try first. So before that $1,000 course or that $300 a month membership or that $10,000 high ticket program, we need to see, um, are you trustworthy? Is it going to work for me? Do you understand my unique situation? Do you work with people like me? Some people need to see, are you the right one for them? Does your jive with their jive? Do you swear? Do you not swear? Are you loud and boisterous? Are you calm and quiet? Like, your energy, is that something that they're going to feed off of and jive with? And the other reality is, some people don't have $100 plus problem or don't know it yet. So even if you do have a great offer, even if you are super trustworthy, even if you can transfer knowledge and experience to other people, portion of your audience is just like, well, it's not that big of an issue to spend 500, 1,000, $10,000 on.
Yeah, so the problem here, when you go with the typical trust building model of I'm going to build trust through free content, free trainings, free sales calls, a million offers, is that you end up with heavy sunk costs. Oh my gosh, I've spent years building this lead magnet. Oh my gosh, I've poured a couple $1,000s into running ads to build my email list or running ads to build my Instagram audience or working with a social media coach to grow my audience. And sometimes you have growing ongoing costs too. How many of you have a
Mhm.
monthly bill for that email list, or for social media content, for the membership that you're running, all of those things,
Yeah.
which
Which,
means that you feel
oh, go
this
ahead.
need to like keep the hamster wheel going. Like I got to keep doing this thing that I've been doing. I'm paying my email list bill every month. I've got to send emails. I've got to stay top of mind. I've got to stay relevant. So the sunk costs are getting heavier. The ongoing costs are increasing month over month. And it's the anti-flywheel.
Yeah. We've all heard of the concept of a flywheel. We're like, this is awesome. Eventually, momentum works in my favor. This is the opposite. This is like a flywheel working in the opposite of freedom. And this is unfortunately the reality for many folks in the business space. People who own businesses have a flywheel that's working against them. And we want to change that. And our solution and what we found for ourselves and countless others at this point is by hosting regular, short, paid live workshops, which we are going to refer to as mini workshops from now on, is how we get around this. And so let's define first what a mini workshop is. For us, it's about 45 to 90 minutes. So it's something that people can sit through in a single sitting. They don't have to like come back to. It's not a 10 module course. It doesn't take hours and hours to go through, but it's still long enough to have substance to actually help people in a meaningful way. It's live. And this is the secret to mini workshops. And also one of the biggest hesitations, which we'll talk about a little bit later, of like, live, scary. But the thing about a live event, a live workshop, is it's a date on the calendar. So when you're selling a recorded masterclass, when you're selling a course, when you're selling a template, any of the stuff, it can get filed into the later folder, which for many of us is the never folder. And so we have the best of intentions. We buy this thing, this $97 template, and we don't use it. A workshop, a date on the calendar, is a forcing function for people to show up.
Yeah. Now, speaking to the future, you may be watching this from the future when you're not at a live event, a workshop with us, and you're watching a recording of this. And that can work as well. It requires more architecture. It requires a few other things in place to get that to work. So we always recommend starting with a live workshop. We've always started that way, including for this workshop, Mini Workshop Magic, because there's just something about getting folks on Zoom in real time where you can help them solve a problem, help them get a quick win, and there's an investment of them showing up and actually experiencing you in real time.
The last thing is, price, right? So it's $100 less is kind of one of our filters for mini workshops. Now we do have some people who have sold much higher pricing in very kind of hot topic niches. But for the most part, for us, a mini workshop is $100 or less, something that is kind of impulse, don't need to budget, don't need to talk to anyone, can just make that purchase. And then the last part is the workshops, which is the workshop element being action and results focused. This is the other part. Live is huge and workshop is huge. And so we're going to walk through that today. We've got some specific elements and ways to think about how you can take your topic and turn it into an action or result focused workshop so that people leave and they're inspired and they actually put things into practice.
Yeah, it's not just a high level overview of your method.
Yeah. So here's the result of mini workshops. When you get them going, when you actually host regular live short paid workshops, one, you can generate cash flow in a light lift way. And we're going to walk through how to do that. So not have to create a huge course, not have to do a big launch, not have to just have a lot of moving pieces to bring in some cash. So if you have an unexpected tax bill, if you want to make a purchase, if you want to take your family to Disneyland, here's an opportunity to take that audience that you have built and turn it into some cash. The other thing is we love to get paid to create content. So for us, it's not that we don't love social media. It's not that we don't love emails. I mean, Sarah loves emails. We send emails all the time, but it's also really nice just to get paid to create content versus create content and then hope people pay for it. And so the thing about a workshop, and we're going to, again, walk you through how to do this inside Mini Workshop Magic, is making sure that you actually get paid before anything is created. And the other thing about this is it allows you to build long-term assets. So instead of the social media thing where you post it and then it's gone in most platforms, where you send an email and only people who saw that email or who were on your list at that time saw that email, and anyone who signs up after will never. This is an opportunity to build an asset that you can use to make your programs better, sell, bring in extra cash, all sorts of stuff. Build a list of buyers. This is the kind of the secret sauce. And we have folks who've been with us for 4+ years now who came via our first workshop. We have an amazing community of humans that we now get to serve. And it's a smaller community. So when we compare like our list size to a lot of others, it's kind of small. When we share it with someone recently and they're like, what? Like you have that many buyers and that business and that's your list size? How is that possible? And the secret is mini workshops. And then also it allows you to upgrade workshop buyers into signature offer with ease. Again, we're going to walk through that later in the workshop. But this is something that connects with us at a deep level because we don't love the big hypey launches. We don't love the twisting your arm to get you to buy this thing. We love this idea of helping people with a workshop and then a simple invitation and it connecting with folks and them upgrading to the signature offer afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go through some examples.
Yeah,
Version
so
1.
this is V1. This is 2020 Mini Workshop Magic. This started as a live session. We showed up on Zoom. We shared how we had separately been running workshops for years. So this was before we fully merged our businesses. And at this time, I was sharing, here's how I'm using workshops in my copywriting business. Justin shared how he was using workshops to teach people, video or filmmaking. And it was epic. Started as a live Zoom, and we, ended up putting some of that architecture in place to sell the recording. We built the full sales page. We added some bonuses. We added a bump. You can see that little one-time offer there, which is a fun strategy that you can use, and ended up having over 7,000 people by that version of the workshop.
Wild. Tiny little thing that we got paid to create helped 7,800 people put their ideas into a workshop, which is wild to us. Here's a more recent one. So we did a co-hosted workshop. The thing we love about workshops is they can be co-hosted. So we did a co-hosted workshop with Laurel, one of our friends who's an ads expert. And we have a bunch of people in our audience who are like, hey, a bunch of our buyers who are like, hey, love the workshop idea, but I don't necessarily have a big audience. How do I validate my workshop before I go and create it? And so we did a workshop on it, a workshop on validating your workshop with ads. We get meta here. Same thing, 431 people signed up for that. Nearly half of them bought that one-time offer bump. Really simple 90-minute training, helping people with a specific problem around validating a workshop topic using paid ads. So like very, very small, but it's exactly what folks in our audience needed. Here's a more recent one, our buyers launch workshop. And this is, okay, you've got your list of buyers. What do? I don't want to do the big launch. Well, we have a simple kind of strategy that we use. They're called buyers launches. We have 5 to invite folks who have bought one of our mini workshops into our back end without having a big launch. And so we created a workshop that showed people how to do that. And same thing. Again, you can see folks buying the workshop, buying the bump, which was a swipe folder of Sarah's emails. So people could see, okay, this is how I can move buyers into my upgrade, my membership, my course, whatever it is, in a light lift way. Now, here's the thing. We love workshops, but we love helping other people get their workshops out there. So we're going to go through some. One, it starts with 1. This is it. Literally every single one of us puts a workshop out there. And then the first buyer comes in and we're like, wait a minute, I just got paid to create something I just got paid for something I haven't created yet. That's awesome. Then 10 sales in 10 minutes, 21 for the workshop, 81, way more fun than a free lead magnet. I agree. Better. This is a sleep workshop. One of the things that we hear regularly with mini workshops is, well, yeah, it's easy to sell, make money offers, but what about B2C? And in having helped thousands of folks with mini workshops, we have screenshots and social proof from literally every niche imaginable. And we love sharing topics that are, there's content wildly or readily available for free, and yet still people are paying for workshops on these topics. This was a fun one. This was someone who wasn't sure they were going to do a workshop until some people were like, wait a minute, I would do that. And all of a sudden, 100 people were doing that. And that's kind of fun. There's people in your audience right now who are willing to pay and excited to pay for something that you can help them with. This was a cheeky little one that I included because we're okay with being blamed if you make a bunch of sales. We'll take that. This one always connected with me as a father. But the idea of this is a psychologist being able to help so many parents in an accessible way was really cool. So 500 plus parents attended a workshop on raising well-behaved kids. Here's another one, Road to 1,000 Sales. This story is also really cool because they hosted their first workshop and the response was not as thrilling as maybe they thought it would. They thought a bunch more people would buy, but in their words, they suspended belief and followed the process that we're going to outline here. And here's them going 700 people to 1,000. At this point, it's well over 3,000 folks have bought their workshop, which is amazing. And here's what happens and why we love them. Workshops have allowed us to build trust quickly. They have allowed us to help people in an accessible way, which is important to us. We have an incredible community because of workshops. Our business is lean and simple. It's even more simple now. We've dramatically simplified it recently. In the case of the Buyer's Launch Workshop, it allowed us to get paid to make our product, Ticket to Freedom, better. And it's exactly what we're doubling down on in 2024 and beyond.
We also hear this a lot. Well, but low ticket buyers don't upgrade. My offer is $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. Is starting people out in a $20 workshop going to be the right entry point?
Spoiler.
Yeah.
Folks, upgrade.
Certainly has been the case. You can see there, every single, like each one of those little boxes is a human inside our community who came in through a $1, $17, or $27 workshop. We charge all different prices for our workshops. And you can see they've made multiple purchases, multiple upgrades, and have spent thousands of dollars with us. And we've never done anything super super crazy high ticket, but we have folks in our community who've upgraded people into $40,000 contracts, $30,000 masterminds, etc.
The thing I love about this too is when I'm looking at the lifespan there, which I don't love that. This is Kajabi. I don't love like the word lifespan, but like the fact that like we have folks that came into our world 3-4 years ago and are still active in our community and still spending hundreds of dollars with us a month in some cases, which is awesome. Like it works. And we have countless, again, what Sarah just shared, we don't particularly sell high ticket anything. But we have people in our community who do. And so we love the fact that we can help those folks, in this case, get paid to get sales calls. It's kind of an awesome thing. Instead of paying to get sales calls, get paid to get sales calls. Instead of having a problem where people don't necessarily see the value, to having to deal with the problem of how do I handle this fulfillment. Those are great problems to have, and we love that we've helped these folks have those problems. In this case, this was a recent one from Jason, which was amazing because it just kind of like popped out of the blue on our timeline one day. And it was just like, hey, just so you guys know, this was the missing piece all along. And so 1,000 members, he's selling 40 workshops a day. And this was it. Help with an affordable way to see his work. And this is B2C. This isn't like make money niche. This is a B2C offer where 40 to 73 people a day are signing up for a mini workshop. He's got a membership with 1,000. He's looking to double it this year. And it was the missing piece all along. Okay, we're going to get into it now. Right out of the top, like Jason, like countless of the stories we shared, there will be an invite at the end of this for us to personally help you. We're not going to hold anything back, though. So Mini Workshop Magic is literally everything you need. But at the end, if you're like, hey, this is awesome, I would love Sarah and Justin to personally help me, we have an opportunity for that as well. But we're going to jump right in. Give us a, you're ready.
Let's go. I'm ready.
Thumbs up.
I'm ready.
Let's go.
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. This is it.
First warning, flashing lights. Don't overcomplicate things.
Yep.
You're seeing version 3 of Mini Workshop Magic, which we have built and refined, added bonuses to, added resources to, built a portal around, built a sales page for over the course of 4 years. Mini Workshop Magic started in a Zoom room, and the only resource was a checklist that I made after the workshop was over. Like after the workshop was over, I was like, I'm going to send out a bonus later, and then went into Google Docs and wrote out a checklist for launching a workshop and sent that out with the messy Zoom recording. And that was version 1. And we got testimonials. We got people going and launching their workshop that week. We got people upgrading into our backend membership. So just keep in mind that you're a visionary, you're an entrepreneur. Your gift is that you can see 100 steps down the road and you can see the workshop that you want to create. It takes some steps to get there, and there's a lot of magic along the way, and you'll never get there if you try to make it like perfect and complicated right off the bat. So let them be light, let them be stress-free.
Just
Let's
follow the process that we're going to outline. So don't try, at least like, don't reinvent the wheel the first time. After you
yeah.
do it, you can make tweaks. But for the first time, just follow exactly what we're going to share because it's based on our success and again, helping many folks launch workshops.
Mhm.
Step one is you're going to choose the goal of your workshop. So you're not just going to be like, I'm going to do a workshop. No, your workshop has to serve a purpose because it's going to inform literally every other decision you
Yeah.
make in getting your workshop out there. So let's look at like the four main goals that we think about when we're launching a workshop. The
Yeah.
first one is, do I just want to launch a workshop to make some sales, make some cash, which is totally fair and valid. Again, if you have a sunk cost and you're like, hey, I want to liquidate some of this cost so that I can cover growing my audience, then it's okay. Like, hey, I've got these people that are already on my list, are already following me, and I'd love to make some sales, make some money. Awesome. So that could be a goal. Your workshop is literally just, I'm going to generate some cash in the next 7, 10, 14 days. Another workshop goal could be I'm going to launch a workshop and use it as a vehicle to upgrade folks into my offer. So my membership, my course, my high ticket program, whatever it is, I'm going to create, again, a really accessible kind of entry point to my world. And I'm going to upgrade people who are like, I like Sarah. I want Sarah to write copy for me. I like Justin. I want Justin to help me set up my video. I like Jason. I want Jason to help me do X, Y, and Z. So that's another option. The actual product that you have, your backend signature offer, you could say, well, I'm going to use my workshop to make that better. So I'm
Right.
going to use a paid workshop as a forcing function to make my membership better.
Yeah, if you were going to do a training in your membership anyway, or you're going to add a bonus to your course or your program, there are times where it makes sense to sell some tickets to that, put the recording in your product, and you're able to make some extra money, bring some new people into your
Mhm.
world while making your backend offer better at the same time.
Yeah.
Last one is scaling. So this is your goal is to create a self-liquidating funnel for ads. So you want to run ads to your workshop, sell copies of your instant access recorded workshop, and use those sales to pay for the ads so that you're
Yeah.
getting buyers onto your list. Now, uh, little warning here. This is never where we recommend starting. This requires a lot of architecture. This requires a lot of testing. This requires some cash reserves because it's unlikely that you're going to nail, the ad conversions right out of the gate. And so we always recommend starting with a simple live workshop and focusing on one of the other three goals.
Yeah.
And then when you find a winner, um, after it's over, after it's made money, after you've sold tickets, after you've used it to get upgrades, after you've built some of the structure, then you can run ads to it and embark on that journey.
Here's the reality of the workshop goals, though. There's 4 there. We are going to recommend you have 1. So you're going to choose for every workshop you launch, you're going to look at those 4 and say, what is the purpose of this workshop? It's going to fit into one of those buckets. And the cool thing about that is not every workshop has to have the same goal. So you could be going into this and saying, you know what, I want to run a workshop over Black Friday to bring us, if people are in a buying frenzy already, I want to leverage that. And so I'm literally just going to launch a live workshop. I'm not going to worry about any crazy productization. I'm just going to launch a live workshop to bring in cash and tap into the buying frenzy that happens in Black Friday. You could say, I have this training I really want to do for my membership. And you know what would be cool is if I just sold 50 guest passes at $20 so people could see the value of my membership before having to commit to a monthly recurring charge. So you get to choose. So some of ours, like Buyers Launch Workshop, was Ticket to Freedom. So we wanted a resource in Ticket to Freedom around lightweight launches for buyers. And we thought, you know what, let's just sell as many tickets as we can. I think it was we sold 70 at $97. And 50% of people bought the bump. So it was like a $10,000 cash injection to make our product better. That's kind of awesome. With Launch with Ads, we didn't have a backend offer for it. So it was literally just cash flow plus a resource for people who are in our audience who could use a resource specifically around ads and mini workshops. And the mini workshop magic didn't start as scaling.
I would say it started as upgrades. Like,
Yeah.
let's get people into our backend offer. And then once we'd validated it, once we were like, wow, this idea is really taking off,
Mhm.
we're getting good results from it. We have some margin to build a sales page and some bonuses so that we can embark on the scaling journey. Then
Yeah.
we kind of pivoted into that. And we still use it for
And
upgrades as well.
now this version 3 is scaling. So the goal of this recording right now is scaling through an SLO. Very meta. Here's the other reality though, is things will happen as a byproduct. So you will have, this is my goal, is I'm going to do a upgrade workshop, and the byproduct is obviously I'm going to make some cash. This is my goal, is to make my product better, and the byproduct is I'm going to get some upgrades because people are going to see how awesome the product is. But we're going to recommend you choose one. So if you look at Buyer's Launch Workshop, for example, number one, it's to make Ticket to Freedom better. That was the goal. Yes. Secondary, we made some cash. Tertiary, we got some upgrades. People saw it. We're like, this is awesome. I want to hop in a Ticket to Freedom. But like our main goal with that was make the product better, and no intention for scaling. We literally don't even sell the recording. Like the recording was never, like literally as soon as the live workshop stopped or started, you couldn't buy it. There's no more getting access to this product. And so like, because of that, because we knew the goal and we let that inform our decisions, we didn't have to worry about all the things that go along with, well, this needs to be evergreen. This needs to be, we have to build a sales page. We have to have bonuses. We have to have all these things that if we were going to be using it to scale, we would have to even consider. But because it wasn't part of our goal, we didn't even think about it.
Right. Even when we were designing the slides, like the slides were simpler. We didn't add like a lot of our story at the beginning because we knew that people seeing it were going to be already in our world, in our program. So it kind of impacts some of those decisions.
So let's go through kind of just some starting places if each of your goals, or for each type of goal for your workshop.
Yeah. So if your goal is cash flow, we recommend selling from a basic checkout page. You're just doing this as a one-time live workshop. There's no need to get fancy with building a full sales page or a full funnel around it. The goal is like, let's just sell some tickets, and you're going to do that more so through promoting it to people. Keep things so chill, simple slides. Sometimes, we've taught workshops from a Google Doc where it's like, hey, here are our notes, or we're working through a template, or you might be someone who's drawing on a whiteboard or drawing on an iPad or doing hot seats or physically demonstrating something. You might not need a lot of actual presentation assets. You don't probably need any branding for it. And then because your plan is not to productize it and turn it into an instant access product that you sell in the future, the live session can be more chill. You can interact more with the chat. You can have moments where, you're sipping your tea, or you're telling your dog to be quiet. And it's just a little bit more relaxed. You can do all of that no matter what, but it's kind of a different vibe. And for the replay, just send out a Zoom link or a limited time replay. Don't feel like you need to build an entire course portal for it.
Yeah, I just went to someone else's mini workshop. It was $97. They sold 100 tickets, so 10 grand. And it was a screen share of an iPad for about 90 minutes. No slides, no talking head, no branding, basic Samcart checkout page, no upsell, and here's the Zoom replay. And halfway in between the workshop, it was, I have to change rooms because my kiddo just woke up. And but that was it. Like that was it. It was a cash flow offer. It was awesome. As an attendee, I got well more than the value, or well more than the cost in value, and it was totally okay for me. And so if your goal is cash flow, like you can detach from, listen, I have to make this like super polished, because it may not have to be super polished. Okay, let's talk about upgrades, because things change a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah. So if your goal is upgrades, again, you can sell from a basic checkout page. The main difference is really you might change the workshop price and have it be a little bit lower so you have more people. It's an easier impulse buy for people to buy a ticket, and therefore you have more people at the workshop that you can make this upgrade invitation to. You're going to put a direct upgrade offer in front of people during the workshop. So if you're running a cash flow workshop where there's not a specific offer, you might still hint at your program or hint at the fact that you take private clients, and you might still get a couple messages after the fact. We call these invitational cues, where you're dropping little breadcrumbs about the bigger work that you do without making a direct offer. If your goal is upgrades, you want to make a direct offer. Fulfill the promise of the workshop, but it is okay to say, hey, I've got 10 spots available for this, or my membership is open right now. Here's how you can get in. and get this bonus for the first 20 people.
Yeah.
You also are going to want to include a post-workshop sequence. And this is really important because you don't want to rely on everyone who bought a workshop ticket seeing that one direct offer in the last 10 minutes of your live session and making a decision just in that moment. So you want to send an upgrade email sequence. We have one in Ticket to Freedom. We usually do
Did you
7 to
catch
10
that? A little
emails.
invitational cue right there. This is meta upon meta.
Magic. Um, 7 to 10 emails reminding people of the offer,
Yeah.
sharing some additional social proof, sharing some additional details, giving a reminder if there's a deadline, etc. We'll talk more tactically about upgrades later in the workshop, but this is just some basic stuff to keep in mind if your goal is upgrades.
Yeah. Okay, so what if your goal is product improvement? Well, same thing, basic checkout. You'll notice a trend here
Yeah,
with the
common
checkout.
denominator.
We're not launching live workshops with like crazy sales pages. We're launching them with basic checkout pages. Now, if your goal is to improve your product, well, you are going to be a little bit more considerate of the live session to make sure it can transfer into an evergreen recording and it doesn't feel disjointed. It doesn't feel like as a viewer I'm missing out on something because I wasn't there in the live session. So maybe you have some less live interaction kind of in the middle, and it's more broken up into chunks. So teaching Q&A, or teaching action, or just teaching and then Q&A at the end, which is our style is typically answer all questions at the end of a workshop. You are going to, because you're selling tickets, you want to make sure that people get access to the replay quicker. So you're not going to wait till you productize it inside your product and edit it and make it great. You're just going to maybe trim the beginning and the end. So for our buyers launch workshop, we hosted it on Zoom, and we trimmed the beginning and the end for the actual product. But for the actual replay, we just sent out the replay link from Zoom, literally like nothing. It was just like, hey, it is, here you go. You can check out the replay. And in our case, people had access to the replay for 30 days. But inside Ticket Freedom, it's all cleaned up. Audio levels are normalized. Slides are great. There's no beginning and end that's kind of awkward. It's literally just, here's the training. You can put it into practice.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about workshops around product improvement is because you have a shared language with your clients or customers, your members, you can talk about things and that they'll understand, but it also gives you an opportunity to either elaborate on them. So one of the things we'll talk about coming up is like iTap. And you may be like, what the heck's an iTap? And we're going to talk about it. But for people in Ticket to Freedom, they're like, oh, I know what that is. And so that gives you an opportunity, again, a little bit more like invitational cues, this idea of like shared language and an opportunity to weave in some of the things that are behind the paywall so people get an idea of what that is, both in the terms of, or in what you share, shared language, but also in if you're mentioning any existing resources like Sarah did with the slide before.
Yeah. Now, if your goal is to ultimately scale and turn this into a self-liquidating offer, even though you're going to start hosting it live, there are some nice things to keep in mind. You're still going to sell it live from a basic checkout page. It's a nice way to validate just the core messaging of the offer and make sure that you're giving people enough to make a decision just from that. You're really going to want to be focused on the workshop recording, saying, okay, if someone sees this who's brand new to my world, doesn't know who I am, doesn't know my story, doesn't know much about me at all, probably higher skepticism, less trust. What do I want them to see in this recording? So even when you're doing it live for people in your existing recording, you want to have that in mind as you're building the slides, building the structure. And as you're recording it, you want to be making sure the recording is nice and clean. So people who buy this from an ad in the future or from, another traffic source in the future aren't feeling like they're missing out on this interactive element that was clearly a part of the live piece. So, and then once you've hosted the live session, you're going to create a productized version. So that means you want it to be an instant access product. You want it to have downloadable resources and bonuses to help people with implementation. You may want to set some things up for collecting social proof or testimonials. And you're definitely going to want a full-length sales page so that you have more of a chance to build trust and nurture the sale.
This is why we do not recommend starting here And we don't start here. We start with like one of the other three simple, keep it chill. And then if we're like, hey, this is going to be the scaling one, then we can go down that path. Okay, so you've got your 4 goals. You're going to choose one of them. Once you've got the one for the workshop, you're now going to choose your topic. Now, we have a resource for you that literally walks you through step by step by step how to do this. At the end, you will end up with a couple of options that you can move to the next step with. But the reality is, chances are, even the options that you end up with are probably not going to be mini enough yet. So you may find that, okay, I've got these 3 or 4 potential workshop topics, but they're still kind of broad. They're still like Googleable is kind of how I would look at, like I could go and YouTube and search that. We don't want that. We want something like specific. We want something that's like, oh, that's interesting. That's unique. I've never seen that spin, or that is something that, yes, that's exactly what I need help with, that specific problem. And so we're going to walk you through in the next step how to actually minify your topic so that it is short. Because if you're like, how to quit sugar in 60 minutes, good luck with that. How do you communicate effectively with a remote team in 45 minutes? Impossible. How to potty train a pup? Maybe that's doable as a mini workshop. But I just think there's a couple of like, fringe
How's that going for
scenarios.
you?
It's not going great. I'm just gonna put that there. How to upgrade workshop. So anyways, chances are you go through the doc, you still have some broad-ish topics. And we're going to walk you through how to simplify that in the next step, because this is the magic. This is how you take something broad, make it specific, and make it easier to sell and actually help people get results because of how mini it is.
So
we're going to help you choose your type.
yeah, step 3 is choosing your type of workshop. So kind of once you've figured out your general topic, like this is what I want to help people with, this is the problem that I want to solve for them. There's kind of 4 unique ways for you to put a spin on this. Number 1 is turn it into a project, something that's doable in 1 hour to 1 week, so that your messaging isn't just, hey, here's how to do this. It's like, you're literally going to walk away with this done. Or a week from now, this is how this area of your life is going to look different. You're going to go from messy closet to clean closet in an afternoon. And it's an actual tactical project that someone can check off of their to-do list and experience a quick win. And the second one is a practice. This is really good if you're thinking, I have trouble giving people a quick win in the niche that I work in. It's not really a quick win type of niche. What if you could give people a practice that helps them experience relief or results in a specific scenario? So a specific scenario of their life, whether they're dealing with cravings every afternoon, or they keep getting in the same fight with their spouse, or they wake up every day just dreading work. They're like, I don't know if I can do another Monday. That's the scenario. You find the scenario, and then you give them a practice that they may need to do that practice for a while. Like it maybe isn't that it changes everything overnight, but the practice is something small. So maybe it's a 5-minute practice, a 10-minute practice, a 2-step practice that will help them experience relief or results in that scenario. Number 3 would be giving people a plan. This is really great if the best entry point for your work is actually sometimes like looking at the thing as a whole. And sometimes the problem is you end up teaching a webinar and no one actually is like getting any results, or you sound like you're making this huge promise that isn't actually realistic. So instead of saying, I can help you make $10,000 in 30 days, or instead of saying, I can help you like write a best-selling book, what you might be able to do is help them make a plan for that goal. So they may still need some help to implement. It may take 30 days, 90 days, a year to implement, but can you help them make a plan in an hour? So they have something that they can stick on their fridge or put in their calendar or put in their binder. And that's the quick win. The quick win is, oh, I now have a roadmap. It's still going to be a journey, but I have a roadmap. And then the fourth one is a pill. Now, I think short-term thinking gets a bad rap in the marketers with integrity space. There's a lot of talk around, I want to help like people with the long term. And that's beautiful. But when people have been burned before, when people have been trying to solve this problem for years, it takes a lot of trust and a lot of hope to like opt into a 6 month process. It's like, really, I've got to gear myself up for
Hmm.
6 entire months when I've been struggling with this forever. And so I actually think pills are underrated. So, is there a way for you to give people short-term relief or momentum for a longer process? It may not be the most sustainable thing. It may not be like the foundational thing, but it's like, hey, here's one little hack. Here's this secret hack that is going to make like your backpack a little lighter.
Hmm.
And then that may give them the momentum that they need to then commit with you to a longer process.
Yeah. Okay, let's run through some examples. Let's put this into practice. So in the how to choose your topic, it was like how to quit sugar. So how could we minify how to quit sugar? So let's go through one at a time. So first, what if it were a project-based mini workshop? What would that look like?
You might be helping people get junk food out of their pantry and restock their kitchen with clean, low sugar snacks. So it's like, hey, go open up your pantry. Anything that has these ingredients, let's, donate those, throw those away, take those off the grocery list. Done.
Okay, practice.
Maybe you do more of the personal development side of things and you're going to help people clear their cravings and shift their mood around food with a meditation. So it's like, hey, next time that you feel that kind of emotional eating craving coming up and you're reaching for that, first start with a 5 minute meditation.
Okay, plan.
Plan might be how to make a 7 day grocery list and meal plan for your sugar-free goals. So, like, okay, you're busy, you've got kids, you've got a job, you've got a household to maintain. Changing your eating habits is hard because you already have like quick and easy meals you know how to make, and now you have to do everything differently. That's hard. Here, let me give you a plan so that grocery shopping and cooking isn't hard.
Okay, pill.
Pill would be how to make your favorite snacks the low sugar way. So this is not maybe going to be like the foundational long-term work of someone shifting all of their diet. But if someone's going from like eating like loving all these different snacks and foods and it's amazing and it's their habits, it's part of their daily routine, awesome. And they want to shift the way they're eating, being able to make some of those favorite snacks without sugar or without just buying the conventional version at the store is probably going to make the transition easier. It's probably going to give them a little relief and momentum that, ooh, maybe I
Mhm.
can actually change my eating habits. Um, and that might give them the hope and the momentum that they need to commit to some type of like longer term uh, way of eating.
Yeah. See how one workshop presented four different ways. It's also interesting that one of those could be the workshop, one of them could be the bump. There's a couple in there that would work well as like a great add-on type thing. Okay, let's look at how to communicate with a team. Same thing. We're going to break down four potential workshop topics for too broad of a topic. How to communicate with a team. So what does it become
So
if it's a project?
if it's a project, you might be helping a busy business owner reorganize Slack so you and your team can communicate more efficiently. So if things are falling through the cracks, client messages are getting missed, deadlines are getting missed because communication is all over the place. It's like, okay, we're going to go through this process. 90 minutes, you're going to have the right channels set up. You're going to have the right, instructions for DM conversations, etc. Practice.
Let's go.
How to run a 15-minute daily team meeting so your brain can be free for the rest of the day. So it's like, hey, here's something you can just install at the beginning of your day. This is a practice, and it's going to change the way that your team communicates and gets things done. Plan how to map out the next 30 days of projects and deadlines to avoid last minute questions, ad hoc meetings, and fires.
What's the
And a
pill?
pill, how to lead a team reset meeting to set new boundaries, work through past conflicts, and get on the same page. So maybe there's some tension, there's some disunity, your community is all over the place. This pill is not, you're still probably going to need some support moving forward to clear up some long-standing patterns and get some things in place. But this is something that's going to give some short-term relief. And all of these, notice that all of them, you can opt into them a little more easier. You can see if it's for you or not. You can see what the results are going to be. How to communicate with a team feels like, maybe a podcast you listen to. Maybe it's, kind of just a generic idea. And it's like, yeah, I should probably build that skill at some point. But building skills is boring, even though it's essential. And breaking up your workshop into one of these 4 Ps makes your workshop more magnetic. Makes it easier for people to say yes to.
Well, there's your next point right there, right? It's a generic workshop where you think you'd sell more because more people would find value in the broader topic. It means that no one actually buys it.
Yeah, it feels like it's for anyone.
Yeah.
And so people feel like, well, it's not for me. My problems are unique. I'm dealing with this specific use case. I'm not sure that this is for me.
Yeah.
Also, just a pro tip as you choose your topic, don't get too stuck here. Mini Workshop Magic wasn't our first workshop. Your first workshop does not have to turn into your signature workshop. So don't put this monumental pressure of, I have to have the perfect workshop and I have to choose the right one of the 4 Ps. And if I don't, my business collapses. It's like all of these things are flexible. All of the 4 Ps are awesome. Some of them are probably going to more naturally fit your niche or your personality. Maybe you end up with one that straddles 2 of them. That's okay. Pick a topic, pick a type, keep moving. Then last but not least, remember, I have to remind business owners about this a lot because we're weird and we're really passionate about the thing that we do. Remember that you are 10 times more excited about the foundational theory in your niche than any of your clients or students are. So your workshop topics, you may default to stuff like building communication skills, team leadership 101. And most people in your audience, they don't care about that. Or they do care about that, but the reality is they're putting out fires every day, and that's the can that keeps getting kicked down the road. And so give people a quick win. It makes it way easier for them to opt into something and then slowly build the skills and get deeper into your work.
Okay, so there you go. You've got you got one goal, your topic, and then you're going to choose one of the proven Ps. So one of the types. Now we're going to pre-sell it. So we're not going to do the typical route of like, I've got to build everything. I'm going to build the slides. I'm going to build the presentation, the bonuses, the emails, I'm going to do everything. And then cross my fingers and hope someone buys it. No, we're going to flip the script. And we've got enough at this point to at least make sure that people are not only going to raise their hand for it, but open their wallets for your workshop topic. And speaking of ITAP, which is what I hinted at earlier, I'm going to close that loop now. It's the I'm thinking about post, which is literally a short, condensed version of what people can expect through your mini workshop. They can see that it's not happening for sure. They can see that it costs some money, and they have an opportunity to opt into it. So this is kind of like the structure of it if it were on in this case, Facebook post. We're going to walk through some other examples if you're not on Facebook. But again, you can see, hey, I'm thinking about, so I'm not doing it for sure. This isn't like marketing manipulation. Like at this point, you are literally making sure that people are going to pay for this before you go any further. So you are thinking about it.
Like notice there's not a fancy graphic for the workshop. No. There's not a title of the workshop because those are decisions that get made later. Right now, it's just like, hey, I'm thinking about this.
Yeah. You are going to see if people are going to pay for it at whatever price you want to put there. You're not beholden to that. You can change it. And you're building a wait list, however you're doing this. So if you're doing this as this example on social, if you're doing it via an email, you're going to say, hey, hit reply. Let me know. Here's the exact same idea in an email. Thinking about doing this. Here's what you can expect. Here's how much it costs. Let me know if you're in. Do this action. If you're on Instagram, or if you're thinking about a couple of options, you're not really sure, we've got some polls. So you can do, hey, I'm thinking of doing it. Same thing. Thinking of doing this workshop. It's going to cost this much. Help me choose which would be most helpful for you at this stage. So here's some examples. And I'm going relatively quick through this because, again, we have a guide, literally step by step, whether you're going to post it on social media, email, polls. We literally walk you through how to do it. But at this point, you are literally just making sure that, again, people are not only excited about the topic, but they're excited to buy it. And that's your validation.
Yeah. And in this guide, we even have examples for sending out personal messages. I
Yeah.
filled my first workshop, which was a creative writing workshop for high school students with no social media, no emails, because I had neither. So it was just sending emails to like principals and charter school board members and people in my community. And so you can do that with the same method as well.
Yeah. And so when you get the guide, feel free to remix. Feel free to combine some of the elements, how you see fit, how it would work for your audience, for your platform. But one of the things we get is, I got a bunch of people who raised their hand for my iTap, but they didn't sign up. Well, did you put the price in? No. Okay, that's why. So you always want to have the price in your iTap. You want to let people know that this isn't a free training, this isn't a master class, this isn't a webinar, this isn't a YouTube video. This is something that they're going to have to pay for, and that's your validation. And the other thing about remixing is we're going to encourage you to just try and keep it as focused as possible. We don't want to have to rely on marketing at this stage. And this is especially important if you think in the future this could be something that you run ads to. You want this to be a compelling offer right out of the gate that doesn't have the fancy branding, the color, like the logo and all that stuff. It's literally just, here's an idea. Are you willing to pay for it? And if you get people saying yes, this was the original mini workshop magic one,
Yeah.
164 people. I was like, okay, game on, let's go.
Yep.
So what do we do after 24 hours?
So after you put out your I'm thinking about post, if people respond, awesome. You've got an instant wait list. Everyone in that comment section are people you can open conversations with, send invitations to, hit the ground running with your promo. You can move on to the next step. If no one responds, step one is take a realistic look at your audience numbers. Like I just shared, when I was doing a workshop on writing for high school students, I didn't have an audience. And so there, I mean, I could have, I guess, posted on my personal Facebook, but if I would have gotten 0 comments, it wouldn't have meant you are bad at this. It would not have meant this is a bad workshop. It just means, okay, I really haven't curated an audience for this yet.
Yeah.
So you may just choose to move forward and say, I'm going to keep posting about this. I'm going to keep sending invitations to people in my network. I'm going to keep moving along because this is realistically where I'm at in my business. You can choose a new workshop topic. So maybe you do have a bigger audience or you do have an engaged audience, no one comments, and it means interesting. Okay, I guess they don't want this. Thank goodness I didn't waste time building an 18 module course about this and get 0 sales. All I did was post a 2-sentence post on Facebook. That's not a big deal. You can also just rework your I'm thinking about post or your I'm thinking about email. Maybe you've gotten some clarity around, oh, I wasn't as clear as I could be, or I could actually emphasize, I could talk more about the problem instead of the solution, or I could talk more about the outcome instead of the issue. You can just reword it and then post it again at a different time. We have had stories from people say, I literally copied and pasted my iTap, changed 2 words and posted at a different time. And for whatever reason, the algorithm gods shined upon me and I got a ton of comments after getting 0. And then you can move on to the next one.
Yep. And I think the other thing to keep in mind here is, yes, on our iTaps, there's 100 people commenting, and it's, but at the end of the day, we all started with 0. So
Yep.
when we look back at like our initial workshops, we had a handful of people there. And when we look at some of our greatest success stories and people we've worked with, they've started with very small audiences and just kind of like built the snowball over time. We recently had one person share that they hosted a workshop. One person paid for it, one person showed up, and that person became a $5,000 client. That was a $97 workshop, so I got paid $97 to make $5,000. That's a pretty good trade of time. That's a pretty good conversion. That's a pretty good use of time for both folks. Like, lean into the fact that if you have a smaller audience, it means you can have a deeper connection. It means you can actually help them live on the workshop. It means you could probably like literally walk them through a specific scenario live on the workshop in a way that you can't do when you have hundreds of people there. And so again, we all start with an audience of 0, but each time you do a workshop, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And you can lean into the fact that a small audience is more personal and that you can help them at a deeper level.
Yeah, and we're not in the business of selling sunshine and rainbows. If you're running an online business, you do need a traffic source.
Yeah.
For many people, the simplest traffic source is building an audience on social media, which is a skill and something that takes time and something that takes effort. Um, there are other traffic sources, of course. We have co-hosted workshops where the co-host brought all of the traffic and we
Yeah.
were delivering something. We have personally invited people, like I just shared a couple times, of sending literal emails to like principals and community leaders saying, "Hey, I'm doing this thing. Any of your students want to come to this?" Um, and if you have an audience, you've probably spent a lot of time building that, and that's absolutely an asset.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about pricing your workshop. Now, in your iTap post, you do have a price, but again, you don't have to stick to it. That's really just kind of an initial filter. And sometimes we'll do an iTap post where it's the higher price, and we'll come in and we'll talk about this in a second with an actual like early bird price. So people are like, oh, wait a minute, this is like a sweet deal. But let's talk about the actual price initially. And first of all, let's connect it to your goal. Again, we talked about this at the beginning, but like your goal is your lead domino and everything else kind of falls into place from there. So if your goal is cash flow or upgrades or product or scaling, then that will determine where you might want to land with your price. So
Yep.
for example, if it's like cash flow, well, maybe I'm going to have a higher price. Maybe this is going to be a 47, 67, 97. Always has to end in 7, apparently. It doesn't. I'm being sarcastic. It can be whatever you want. But maybe I'm going to charge a little bit more because I'm not really worried about the number of volume, the seats that I'm going to sell. I really just want to make some cash. And if I have a smaller audience, I can make more cash with a higher price point, for example. Or you could say, well, I actually want to sell more tickets because this is an upgrade. I want more people to see what it's like to work with me in a risk-free or a reduced risk environment so I can make an upgrade to my back end offer. So you know what? I'm going to actually charge $27 and sell my $10,000 program. So I'm not really worried about that initial upfront cash. I'm more worried about just getting more folks into my workshop. You could say, well, I'm really focused on my product. So I want to connect the price of the workshop to the price of the product. So maybe my membership is $57 a month and I want to sell the workshop at $77 a month, or they get a free ticket if they join the membership. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, might as well just join the membership. So you're thinking about this kind of from a strategic standpoint and saying, what should this be based on the goal of the workshop? But there are some things obviously within niches and audiences, like the magic of a mini workshop is that it's an impulse purchase. So what is
Mhm.
that for your audience? Like if you're dealing with parents or make money, it's a different world. So think about as someone is seeing a post on social media or seeing your ad or seeing an affiliate promoter, whatever it is, like what is that? Oh yeah, I'll take a risk on that.
Yeah.
That's an impulse.
Yeah. Our scientific formula, because we're big science and math people, is it should feel like we're being robbed. We want to feel like we're going to get someone an amazing result. They're making out like a bandit. It feels aligned with our goal. So we just talked about that. And somewhere in the middle of that is our ideal price. We usually spend approximately 30 seconds deciding on a price. This is not somewhere we spend a lot of time. This is part of the secret
Yeah.
of running light and simple workshops is saying, I'm going to make decisions quickly and easily instead of bringing tons of stress and pressure to every single decision. So one of the reasons we can launch a workshop in 7 days, are there systems and tools and templates that help? Yes. But it's also the fact that we've decided, you know what, we're going to make fast decisions. And so when we're going to run a workshop, we'll send each other a message on Slack. How does 97 feel? Yeah. Okay. Sounds great. Let's do it.
Yeah. Easy.
Moving on.
Okay, so there's our tip for you. You're gonna pick a workshop price, and again, nothing is forever. So you can change it, you can lower it, you can increase it, you can do it once and then say, you know what, I'm going to increase the price next time, or I did it once. You know what, I'm going to decrease the price next time, and I'm going to invite everyone that bought the first one to come to the next one for free, and it's a great way. Like you get to change all that. So once you have your price, you're going to build your checkout page. This is a huge flashing red light for the vast majority of us in the kind of digital space. Is tech is a time suck. So this is one of the things that prevents so many people from helping other people is literally the tech. And there's all these solutions, and you can go crazy complex, you can go super simple, you can be testing 18 different platforms, but at the end of the day, it really like doesn't matter. So we're going to encourage you to just use whatever you use, whatever you're comfortable with, and just lean into letting your workshops be light and simple. Don't worry about like the crazy complex tech, especially if your goal isn't scale and you need fancy stuff. If it's literally just cash flow or upgrades or making your product better, then you can lean into simple. Now we have exact copy, literally a template for you to follow. So we're not going to go into that, but whatever software you use, it will work. You just plug it in, and it really leans into the fact that this is a live workshop. Here are the things that you need to know. Here are some hesitations that you can speak to. Here's what they're going to get. Here are the dates. It's all written specifically for a live mini workshop. So just follow that template. And again, from the tech side, we use Kajabi. It's what we use. We've tested all the things. We just keep coming back to it. But at the end of the day, we're just going to encourage you. Whatever you use and are comfortable with is all that matters. We have people selling using something as simple as like ConvertKit, so their email software. We have people selling with any software you could imagine. And Sarah, your first workshops were literally like PayPal purchase links.
Literally a PayPal purchase link. So not like no copy or anything. I would just put the title and the price, and then I'd write emails about it and say, buy your ticket here. There was no confirmation email. There was just the PayPal receipt that they got automatically.
Yeah.
Then the morning of the workshop, I manually emailed people the Zoom link. I did not know how to set up Zoom events at the time. So it was literally just my personal meeting link that morning that I would send out. I'd hit record. I would either walk through a Google Doc or slides, max 10 slides. You should see them, black text on a white background. That's it. And it was great. People got great results. It was an awesome place to start.
Yeah.
And there's so many better solutions now that are easy. Literally any of them work.
Yeah. We've got two here. Gumroad is great because you don't pay up front. You just pay a percentage of sales. So it's a little bit less of a risk. It's a higher percentage of sales than if you were going to use your own payment processor, but the risk is minimized. StanStore is another one where it's just a low monthly fee. But again, I think PayPal is free. They just take a percentage of sales. So it's like
you can't really set up a checkout page. So there's some like limitations, but literally
just keep it simple. It's all we're going to encourage you to do. Yeah. Okay. Same thing with the Zoom event. We've got a resource for you. So we're going to walk you through literally how to do it. Now, Zoom changes things all the time, which is why it's a resource, but also we're going to recommend that you're going to test either way, but we'll literally walk you through the settings on what to turn off, what to turn on based on your goal of the workshop. A couple of things here though. This is a question we get regularly of like Zoom meeting versus webinar, because one of the distinctions is, can other people see each other? Can I see attendees? Or is it literally just me talking to my computer and people are just kind of seeing? And so both have their benefits. We're going to walk through some kind of scenarios here and you can choose. Again, it should be informed by the goal of your workshop. So if your workshop is cash flow, then maybe you can be a little bit more informal if you prefer that. Maybe you can see everyone's faces and you can jive and you can be, like just casual, like, hey, thanks for coming. And you're seeing people's faces and other people are seeing each other there and it's a bit more dynamic and lively. But if your goal is, well, I'm going to sell this via ads in the future, I don't want it to be lively because then people are going to feel like they're missing out. Or worse, I'm going to be trying to sell something with someone else's likeness in it. That's not great. And so, you know what, I'm going to go the webinar route where they only see my face. So there's an option. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. And I think it's really important then also to think about how you show up best. That's the next thing is, do you have personality-based preferences? I famously or infamously hate Zoom meetings and love webinars, and it completely changes the experience for me as a presenter. You might want to think about matching your upgrade offer. So maybe you do really personal, intimate coaching. And so you want it to be a meeting where you can do kind of like hot seats with people and interaction, and they can actually talk to you face to face. Maybe your back end is really polished trainings and resources. And so you want it to be a webinar where you're just going through slides and resources because that's a better match for what you do.
Okay, some pro tips here for your Zoom event, because as setting up your Zoom event, you're going to have to pick a time. So pick a time that works best for you and your audience. So that is not something we can say. Wednesdays at 2 p.m. is the best time to host a workshop is not something we can say. So when do you show up best? Are you in the morning? Are you in the evening? Does your life put requirements on it so you can't do it in the evening because the kids are home? Whatever it is, when are you going to show up best? And then also, is there a time within there that your audience is going to show up best? So if you're trying a workshop or presenting a workshop to teachers, doing it during the middle of a teaching day is probably not ideal. So you may show up best there, but they're not going to be able to attend that. So it's just finding that middle ground of where's a great time for you and your audience. If you are using the Zoom webinar, which is what we use, Zoom has automated email reminders you can like click on with a single toggle, which are awesome. And so even if you have your own show up emails, leverage Zoom ones. One is one less thing for you have to worry about, but two, they have great deliverability. They show up in people's inboxes. And two, it's just another gentle reminder, again, the forcing function, the live element to show up at this event. And you want to get as many people there as possible so that they actually like go through that experience with you. So leverage the software that already does that. And then if you are using Zoom meetings, make sure you're familiar with the settings, because you can make it so that you're front and center and you still have other people around that aren't in the recording, but it requires you turning certain things on and certain things off. So go through the guide, make sure that you have a clean recording that is literally just you and your slides, not other people. And in order to do that, just run a test with someone you know, a business bestie, a spouse, yourself with two devices, and like one person is the presenter, one person's the guest. Do the recording and make sure that the guest isn't shown in the recording.
Yeah.
We've had that unfortunately happen with folks where they did the workshop and all they were left with was a grid of people, cameras off, cameras on, and that's just not a great experience for the recording in any use case, but also it just gets in some legalities around people using people's faces and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Step 8, write your confirmation email. When people sign up, you want them to feel safe, be like, okay, that worked. Yep. It's official, and you want them to have the details of how they can actually attend. We have a copy template for you. You're going to include your Zoom link in there. You're going to say, yay, you're registered. You're going to remind people of the date and time and just celebrate them for showing up.
Okay. Up until this point, like that work shouldn't have taken very long. So, no. And it gets easier as you go. So if you do one workshop, that may have taken you a couple hours. The next workshop, an hour. The next workshop, like it condenses and condenses. It's really simple. Again, if you stick to simple tech, if you use all the resources that we're including in Mini Workshop Magic, like all of these things become replicatable and very fast. Now we get to the fun part.
We literally get to, every time we host a live workshop, duplicate the checkout page, duplicate the confirmation email, duplicate the Zoom event settings, switch out a couple links, add the new copy, off to the races in like an hour.
Now let's talk about actually getting some butts in seats. Is that the saying? Butts in seats? Yeah, it is. We're going to fill a workshop.
Here it is.
So we've got a couple of ways that we found to work best. And we've tested a whole bunch of ways. But when we're talking about non-ads, so ads are kind of a different thing altogether. But when we're talking about, we've got emails, social media, other people's audiences, just things that we've built that have access to get to our iTap without an ad. We love, number one, double deadlines. So I've already talked a little bit earlier about like forcing functions, but like something that like literally someone has to make a decision by a certain time. That's a forcing function. And so we love those. We have two that we're going to walk through. Unscalable conversations. So this idea of automation and scale is great. But there is magic in just having one-on-one conversations with humans. And we're going to talk about how we do that. And this is how we filled all of our workshops in the beginning. And then regular invitations. So simple posts to create excitement and intrigue. And again, to get more people to sign up for the workshop. So let's talk about the first deadline, which is kind of the early bird discount. This is kind of what I hinted at earlier with, if you're going to put a price in your iTap and you say it's $47 to come to my workshop, well, then your early bird could be $27. And all of a sudden people were expecting 47 when you reach out to them via an unscalable conversation and say, hey, early bird is 27. Well, it's like an awesome little, oh, cool, great. It's even cheaper than I thought.
Yeah.
And so for us, an early bird discount is usually within a couple of days or X number of spots. So you can go either or. So the first 10 spots are this price. It's usually a pretty incentivized discount. We love to build early momentum. We love to be able to
Hmm.
say that seats are already being sold, and you'll see some examples coming up. And this is basically, hey, workshop's now available for purchase. And until this date or this many people sign up, it's this price. After that date, here's the forcing function. The price goes up. Simple as that.
Yeah, we have tested this. We actually took this out of our mini workshop process for a while because we were like, let's just make this really simple. This is extra complexity. You have to remember to change the price on the checkout page. You have to send out a couple reminders that the early bird price is going up.
Mhm.
And we put it back in. This
Yeah.
moves the needle. So y'all are getting the good stuff here.
Yeah, it's such a light lift thing.
It is
So
easy.
any checkout software, you just change the price. You don't
Yeah.
have to worry about like automated timers, and you can do
No.
all that, but you can also literally just set it so that you manually change the price at a certain time. If you're
Hmm.
at your computer at 6 p.m., at 6 p.m. the price goes up. If like that when we're doing this manually, I don't have automated things. I literally will say, you know what, at 9 p.m. I'm going to change the price because I'm not in bed at that point. So at 9
Hmm.
p.m. the price goes up. But if I were to do like 11:59, then I'd have to get out of bed. And I don't want to do that. And so if you're going to keep it simple. Okay, next deadline is literally the live workshop. Now, this is kind of a two-parter is if you're doing cash flow only and you're not selling the recording after, it's a pretty hard deadline. Like when I
Yeah.
look at, for example, the buyer's launch workshop, the number of people who bought in that last couple hours or whatever was astronomical compared to earlier because it was a hard deadline. You cannot buy the buyer's launch workshop. It was literally only available up until the time we hit go live. And then that was it. And so that's one way you can do it. But the other way to do it and what you can talk about is if you are going to sell the recording, there's still magic in showing up live that they won't get if they buy the recording after. Access to the Q&A, access to the dynamic like presentation, like all of those elements, literally the forcing function of it just being on a calendar could be a benefit for someone. And so the
Yeah.
live workshop is a great deadline to say, hey, this is your chance to either get a ticket or join me for the Q&A as part of the workshop.
Yep.
Okay, let's talk about unscalable conversations
This is
because
huge.
this is like the secret sauce. And this is also something that we took out of Mini Workshop Magic version 2 to some degree and brought it back in because literally this, what we've learned is this never stops. Whether you have a big audience or a small audience, like there is tremendous power in just connecting with people on a one-on-one level. And I don't ever want to stop doing this in our business. And so we brought it back here because this is such an important thing, especially in the age of AI.
Yeah. So literally anytime anyone interacts with our workshop promo content, we intend to have a personal touch point with them. Does life happen sometimes? Yes. Is this always the top priority? No. But the general goal for us is if we're talking about a workshop that's coming up and someone comments, someone leaves a heart, someone replies to an email, they, get a message back or a comment back, or we show up in their DMs with a voice message or a video message. Not complicated, just saying, hey, thanks. I'm super excited for this workshop. Thanks for showing some love.
Yeah.
Or, hey, saw that you commented on my post about my workshop. I'm officially moving forward. Uh, what would be helpful for me to cover? I'm just starting to put together the slides. Just personal conversations. This is going to come back around too if your goal is upgrades. So
Yes,
these
massive.
conversations are important, not just for selling workshop tickets, but also for opening the door to upgrade conversations. And we'll talk about that later.
Kind of
We
quick pro tip
avoid,
here.
yeah, pro tip. You will on really any social media platform be put in jail, shadow banned, limited, flagged if you are copying and pasting messages or if you are sending a bunch of links. So if you are responding to 20 people that commented on your iTap, we send the links in voice messages, in videos, in a little photo where the link is written on a note, or you can put the link like in your bio and then message people and say, hey, I just put up the early bird checkout page. Like if you go to my bio, that's where you can grab the link and save your spot. Because otherwise you'll end up in the I was going to say the bad graces, but I don't think that's a thing. It's you can be in the good graces of someone. I don't think you can be in the bad graces of a
Yeah.
platform. Anyway, don't do it. It's against all of the platform's terms of service.
Yeah, and it's also like the video, the audio, it's completely disarming. And it's like it's such a way to say like, hey, again, you can do this when you have a smaller audience. Like you can lean into the human personal connection. And when I look when going back to that one of the earlier slides in this where it was like this person's been with us for 4 years and spent $10,000. This person's been with us for 3 years and spent $6,000. If I were to trace back a lot of those people, there are people that started with like video or audio messages where it was like literally from the beginning it was just a human connection. And so leverage that. Like you can do this on pretty much any platform. Um, Leverage the fact that you are there to help and that you're a human and they're a human and it's not a robot and it's not like automated content. The same goes with your regular invitations.
Yep.
Yes, you can automate this. Yes, you can have robots write your posts. We don't do any of those. So you're going to see some really simple posts that I write. I typically write very short, kind of invitational type content, but things that I'm excited about, like workshop updates. What are we working on? What do the slides look like? What are the bonuses? Buy this if you're in this position, here's a great, again, low risk opportunity, low risk thing to buy to get out of that. And then just ripple effects, which is like, what is like the secondary kind of benefit of this? How else is this going to show up in my life after I've purchased this and implement it? And the reality is, I'm posting. I'm more of like the organic person between Sarah and I. Sarah's sending emails,
Hmm.
and so I'm posting once a day leading up to a workshop, maybe twice, and they're really short, really casual. You'll see what they look like. But at the end of the day, it's like the regular invitations is the magic. It's not the I'm thinking about post. Two people bought. Okay, that's it. No one wanted my workshop, or only two people
Yeah.
wanted. It's literally consistently the 7 day launch, however it is however long your opportunity for someone to sign up is, like you are regularly inviting people to join your workshop.
And this is a quantity over quality thing. It would
Yes.
be better for you to do seven one sentence posts saying, I'm so excited for my workshop next week where I'll help you do insert different result. It'd be better for you to do seven of those than like one perfectly crafted, copywritten post that just fewer people have a chance to see.
Yeah. Now we have people that are thinking, wait a minute, I bought the recording of Mini Workshop Magic because of an ad, and you're right. That's true. We had 500 buyers of Mini Workshop Magic before any ads went on. You're
Before
actually
we
in the
ever
next
turned ads
the
on.
next slide, you're going to see, I had to dig back to find them, but you're going to see some of my early posts. We had small audiences we still have a small audience, all things kind of compared to most folks in our space. 3,000 Facebook friends, many of which were like that split between us. So many of which were
Yeah.
actually like there was an overlap and a couple of small groups. So there's no emails at this point. It was literally just small organic audience. So these are some of those kind of look at that 2020 first 62 buyers. There it is. The regular mini workshop invitation. So you can see me letting people know people are buying it. That's why we love early birds. We get some momentum. We can show, hey, people are actually buying this. We call that the gift of going second. You're showing other people that other people have gone first, and it's safe for them to do it. The middle one, adding a little bit of personality. There's going to be some dad jokes in there. Like, listen, if you're going to show up for Mini Workshop Magic, be prepared not to laugh. Like, that's going to happen.
But like,
And then also just, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, notice how short these are.
Yeah.
Like these are so easy.
And then the last one, again, is being excited. So in this case, we had 400 whatever folks buy, and like we're genuinely excited. But that could be 10 people. That could be 4 people. Like it doesn't have to be these huge numbers to be excited. So again, if you're looking at like regular invitations, here they are. These are the types of posts that I write on. I use Facebook, but the same thing could be posted across any platform. For the launch with ads, you'll notice a trend here, folks. I follow a very similar format for a lot of my posts. Like you literally can see it. Huh. Okay, I took a screenshot of the checkout page. There's the post. Hey, this many people bought. There's the post. Hey, here's a bonus that is coming with it. The natural conversation templates. By the way, that was an awesome little gift. And I was like, hey, this is like something that turned into, we thought it would be a fun little bonus, but we're like, you know what, we're gonna actually like make this a big thing. And so we did all this work. So I was like, I'm going to take a screenshot and make sure that people know that this bonus is literally worth more than the workshop price itself. And so if you are going to be including bonuses, if you're going to go and shrink people's time to result through templates or downloads or audio files or whatever you're thinking about for your workshop to help people implement, like, don't assume people know that you're doing that. Like, let people know, hey, this is part of you buying a workshop ticket. For the buyer's launch workshop, same thing, literally the same thing. It's just, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's what we're going to talk about. Do you want to hop in? And then also I left the one on the right because I also think it's important to just like let people know that it did happen. And this is also a great thing to say, or a great point to say, hey, if you couldn't catch live, the replay is now available, or the replay will be available in the next 24 hours. It's an opportunity to say like, hey, here's a bunch of, or there's going to be a bunch of folks who couldn't come to the live workshop and now they can get access to it. So I want to make sure that they know it happened and it's coming.
Yeah.
The other, the one in the middle there is actually our bump offer. So unlike the launch with ads where it was a bonus included, this was a separate purchase. But again, when you're thinking about like a traditional like bump offer, it's, you have a very small window of like text to tell people what it is. So I was like, I'm going to use this opportunity to say, hey, we have this awesome additional resource. If you are coming to the workshop or not, like you may want to like take a second gander at this because this is awesome. So that's another opportunity is, again, regular invitations, letting people know that, again, an offer is coming. There's additional things that they can purchase or there's bonuses that come with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pro tips. In a world of AI and perfection, lean into unscalable when possible. So send those voice memos, send those video messages, just be a human, and be real. Like a lot of our posts and emails, are talking about like, we're so excited to do this. Oh my gosh, this is the first time we're teaching this. This is going to be so fun. Here are some of the things we're excited to share. Here's what's changed and why we're teaching this. Here are some of the things we're thinking about including. And we just keep it simple in that way and kind of let what we're teaching speak for itself. If you want resources, if you're still like, wow, I've got some friction still with sending emails about my workshop or doing posts about my workshop. I get writer's block. I don't know what to say. We have a fill in the blank template kit that has over 100 pages, well over 100 pages. I think it's like 130 pages worth of emails and social media post templates, examples from all different niches. It's inside Ticket to Freedom.
But feel free to model our posts. I love scrolling through Facebook and seeing someone that's literally just changed a couple of text and put a screenshot of their own slides. And I'm like, it's awesome. Like social media, if that's, I'm not a writer. It's just not my specialty, but I'm excited about what we're doing. So I don't let my lack of writing skill stop me from at least giving people little quick updates on what we're doing. And that's a secret for y'all. Like you're doing interesting things. And in a lot of cases, it's happening like in secret, like in your lab. And it's like, bring it out of the lab. Let people know what you're thinking about. Let people know that you're excited. Let people know that you're a human. Let people know that like you're building something helpful. Yeah. And it may not be for the person who sees it, but they may know someone. And it may not be for everyone in your audience, but it's for some of them. And so like it's worth just regular invitational type content leading up until your workshop. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about actually creating the workshop. Guess what? We have a template for you. Literally follow this step by step for outlining your workshop content. You can deliver via Canva, Google Slides. It doesn't matter. But there is a general structure we recommend. It's a bit meta. It's literally what we're going through right here in Mini Workshop Magic. But a couple of things to just kind of keep in mind with your workshop. Number one, especially if it's your first workshop, is err on the side of shorter. So, you look at the 4 Ps of proven workshop topics and you're like, well, I could actually do 2 of those in one. It's like you could, but that would be longer. So try and keep it as short as possible. Especially if it's your first one. If you realize, oh, that was too short, I needed to add some things, well, you can always just add resources or implementation tools afterwards. And again, it keeps the actual workshop content shorter. Record any demos or tutorials separately. So we've had people teach workshops on audio engineering or musical instruments or baking. And awesome. but like there's so much complexity in trying to add those to a workshop versus just recording them separately and either playing a video in the workshop if you want, or just saying, hey, I have a full demo. When you watch the recording, it's in the demo folder and you can literally see all of them. And then we love pre-made templates and bonuses to collapse both the workshop runtime and then also the time to result. So in your workshop, if you can, again, I'll use the example of the workshop slide content. We literally could go through every single slide, or we could just say, here's the template with the written instructions to help you create all the slides. So that makes this workshop much shorter, but it also collapses your time to result. So what are some resources, some things that you can include? Not so important in the cash flow workshop. It's still helpful. Like you still want people to get a result. But if you're thinking upgrades, if you are thinking making your product better, and certainly if you're thinking scaling, then you absolutely want to be thinking about bonuses and templates and things to collapse time. And then lastly, in your workshop, we've already talked a little bit about this, but we absolutely want to include invitational cues. So
Yeah.
thinking about the stories that you're sharing, the screenshots, they can be yours, they can be your students, they can be your members, but you're talking about that. You're not just saying, and here's Susan from Scandinavia. You're saying, Susan, a client of mine. Susan, a member of my membership. Like you're giving people an opportunity to say, oh, this is the this is the offer. This is the thing that
Yeah.
is coming next.
You're giving people little breadcrumbs
Yeah.
so that if you're making an offer at the end of the workshop or in emails later, or even down the road, if you open your membership in a month, um, there's breadcrumbs. So it's not like big surprise, like, oh, they have something else. It's these breadcrumbs that there's deeper ways to work with you. There's ways to get more support. There's ways to implement faster. There's ways where they don't have to do everything by themselves. There's ways for them to do this in community, and future casting a little bit by sharing stories from your members or clients or students who are a few steps down the road with your support.
Yeah.
So we
And
usually
then
build the workshop and then we look back. Okay, where do we want to put these stories in? Where do we want to put these examples in?
same thing with the resources. This idea of like having to know what the resources are ahead of time is it can be tough. We're talking about delivering your workshop next because there's an element there that will allow you to add elements to your workshop afterwards to make it even more helpful. Speaking of resources, right here. So if another kind of invitational cue is if you have a resource in the offer that people can sign up for, you can mention it. Hey, especially if this is a product improvement workshop and your customers or clients are watching the workshop, you want to let them know. So for example, Mini Workshop Magic, we have people in Ticket to Freedom watching this workshop. So we want to let them know that we have a resource for them to implement something. And so we're going to say, hey, use the template in Ticket to Freedom. That's kind of an example there. Okay, so let's talk about that. Delivering your workshop. And this is the magic. This idea of it being live is number one, it is a date on the calendar. And we talked about this earlier when we kind of defined what a mini workshop is, but people will show up for it. They will make time for it, especially if your invitation is 60 minutes, right? Especially if your Zoom calendar reminder is 60 minutes. Like that's something that I can kind of slot into my life. If it's hours, if it's an evergreen product, all of a sudden there's all sorts of shenanigans that can happen that can get me out of the way of actually watching that workshop. The other thing about doing it live is it's a real audience and your energy is different. If Sarah and I recorded this workshop separately, energy would be completely different. Despite having the fact that we've had some technical difficulties, it doesn't matter. My energy is different now because there's hundreds of people here. And
you were much boring when we practiced this. I can confirm.
Yeah. So lean into that. But again, your audience doesn't have to be hundreds of people. It could literally be one person. But that is like, okay, I'm showing up for that person now. I'm here to transfer whatever it is I'm trying to transfer in my workshop. Is different.
Yeah.
It's different energy.
Yeah.
And then the other thing about this, going back to the bonuses and templates, is if you get questions at the end of the workshop, you're like, oh shoot, dang, that would have been good to include, or that's going to be a hang up for people who watch the replay in the future. It's like, okay, cool. Now I can add a cheat sheet, a template. I can add a written description above the video. I can do things just to prevent someone from getting stuck in the future.
Yeah.
That you would have never known if it was a recorded workshop.
No, so much of what we've added to Mini Workshop Magic has literally come from being in community with people who are launching mini workshops and getting their questions, getting their feedback, and being like, oh, wait, we could totally make a worksheet on that. We could totally have a resource for that. Now, the other thing is, as you're delivering your workshop and thinking about delivering your workshop, you want to match it with your goal. The cash flow, the upgrades, the products, the scaling. So again, keep in mind, if this is something where you're going to be leaning heavily on the recording, you're either putting
Mhm.
it into your core product or you're going to be scaling. Be intentional about how you run the workshop so that you can get a clean recording. If it's cash flow or upgrades, you might be more focused on the live experience and saying, how can I bring the most of my zone of genius to this, where people can actually experience more interaction, and experience, that live element. And then just set the expectations during your housekeeping portion. When we're
Yeah.
doing workshops live, we always start with 1 or 2 housekeeping slides that let people know, here's when you'll get the replay. Here's when you can ask questions. Here, we'll answer questions at the end, use the Q&A, like all sorts of different, whatever we want to say. And then we can easily just trim that beginning housekeeping piece out
Mhm.
if we're selling the recording later.
Yeah. Some other things to keep in mind, just from a technical standpoint, if you're doing things live, is there's just variables that could go wrong in everything, but particularly when you're doing them live. So can you reduce them or remove them? If you have a wired internet, like that's better than wireless. If you are using a laptop, you're plugging in your computer. If you're on iOS and you've got notifications on your iPad showing up on your phone, on your computer, text messages, and it's like remove the text, go into sleep mode or non-distract mode. If you have kids around or you're sharing a house, can you put a sign that says, "Hey, this is happening," if you don't want them to show up? If you don't care because that's part of your experience as you're a stay-at-home dad and your kids are around, then awesome. Let them be in there. But if it's not, then put a sign up. And then from a schedule thing, like keep the day before a live workshop open, because inevitably, one, you're going to have unscalable conversations you're going to be sending. You're going to be doing a dry run. You're going to be testing things. And you don't want that to bleed into the workshop day and add stress, because live events are already stressful. I've done hundreds of live events, and literally every single time before I go live, I'm like, off we go. And that never goes away. So I want to reduce as many variables as possible that I can, so that I have just fewer things that could potentially go wrong. But even if something does go wrong, guess what? It will. It literally went wrong recording this. We had a little blip in it. It's like, okay, don't sweat it. Move on. Don't make a big deal. Don't get flustered. If anything, it shows that one, you're human and you're there for them and you're not perfect, which is a great quality. So just lean into it. Worst case scenario, you can chop out a section that was like, oh, I screen shared the wrong thing, or something happened. I dropped the internet. You can cut that out. You can have someone cut it out. You can leave it in with a little text overlay, or you can literally, worst case scenario, if something catastrophic happens, you can always re-record a workshop, which we've done in the past. So it's not like the end of the world.
Yeah.
Okay. The last step in the process is actually upgrading your workshop
Yes.
buyers. Let's talk about this.
Yeah. So if your workshop goal is upgrades, or if that's one of your goals, give people an intro or a heads up in the intro. Doesn't mean you need to start with a big pitch, but letting people know from the beginning, hey, I'm going to help you do this today. And if you're looking for more support, there's going to be an opportunity for you to get more support and more resources for me if you're wanting that. This does 2 things. If someone is getting overwhelmed during your workshop, because you are
Mhm.
sharing a lot in a condensed time frame, it actually helps them relax because they know they're going to have an opportunity to get more support. And if someone's a little bit sales resistant, it takes the pressure off because they're not waiting for like the boogeyman to jump out from under the bed. They know there's an
Yeah.
invitation coming. It's no big deal either way. Then in the teaching portion, weave in intentional invitational cues and stories that relate to your upgrade offer. So our backend program is Ticket to Freedom. We've already mentioned it multiple times. So when we make an invitation, it's not like this crazy shock. It's like, yeah, we've talked about some of the resources inside there already, and people are aware of it. And then where you're going to tactically present it is at the end of your workshop. When you're talking about next steps, you're going to be presenting next steps for someone, whether they buy your upgrade offer or not. So, like the next steps is go do this, go leave this, go put this plan on your fridge,
Mhm.
go, download this meditation recording, go, outline this thing, go clean out your closet. And then an element of the next steps will be an opportunity to do it with your support or with the community or get more resources or get time saving tools. And you'll present that as an optional piece of the next steps and kind of walk through what your offer looks like and how they can get it.
Yeah.
If you're going to be sharing the recording in the future, be mindful of how you present the offer. Is the way that you're presenting the offer evergreen? If not, you may need to separately record an evergreen version of the pitch that you can then stitch in to the recorded version. And that way you can just do the live one live. We've made that mistake before where we're like, oh, we have to re-record this entire workshop because we intended to sell the recording, but we have all of these live elements of the offer that are going to be different later. And then again, we kind of keep circling around this, and I think it's just really important. Match the workshop experience to your upgrade offer experience. So if a main element of your upgrade offer is you give people feedback on their copy, you may want to do some copy feedback during your workshop, whether it's for someone who's on live or someone that you've prepped with before. But think about, those sorts of elements. Are you giving people a taste of what it would be like to work with you in your workshop? So that comes into play with the formality, how informal or formal are you, the quality. And that's even things like, okay, if you host calls from your phone sometimes because you're traveling and you're a digital nomad, you probably don't want to do your mini workshop in a professional studio setting because it's just a totally different experience. Think about that with the structure, with how much interaction there is with attendees, with how much access the attendees get to you based on how much access there is in your backend offer and how you're leaning on resources.
Yeah, this is one of those like secret levers that you can pull in your workshop presentation. So if your goal is to upgrade folks, right? Going back to your goal, it's like be mindful of how does the workshop match with the backend offer? How can I just show people what it's like to work with me at a deeper capacity, or at least give them the proper / correct expectation. So you don't have people coming in thinking one thing and then seeing, oh, that was just, again, flash, right? But rather, no, wow, that was a real sample. And now I get like the full thing inside the membership or the program or whatever it is. Some more tactical things here for workshop buyers. Number one is, we've already talked about this, but a post-purchase upgrade email sequence. You will have people that come to the workshop who have to skip halfway through. It's totally normal. You will have people who come to the workshop, hear the pitch, and think it's not for them. You will have people come to the workshop, hear the pitch, and kind of earmark it for later. And then here comes the email sequence afterwards that now you can be sharing stories. You can be speaking to hesitations. You can just let people know a little bit more like detail, what's included in the offer. You can connect the two between the workshop and having made progress already and momentum. And now it's like, here's the next thing. And so having that post-purchase email sequence, for us, it's 10 emails, is a big lever in moving buyers into your backend offer if the goal is upgrades.
Yeah.
The other thing is, because you've opened these communication loops with folks in the launch phase with your unscalable conversations, you can now circle back. And it's not circle back by, hey, did you see my offer? Do you want to buy this thing? It's, hey, thanks for coming to the workshop. Let me know if you have any questions. Hey, thanks for coming to the workshop. Did this part connect with you? Did that make sense? Do you have any, is there anything stopping you from just like putting it into practice? Do you have any ideas for other resources that I could have added? Like, you basically have an opportunity to reach back out to folks. And while they're seeing the upgrade email sequence, you're then, again, showing that you're a human and it's not this automated kind of robot working behind the scenes. Like, you're literally there. And then the other thing is, and this is kind of the magic to reducing these big stressful launches, is you will have people that go to your workshop who see the post-purchase email sequence, who you talk to via unscalable conversations, who don't buy right away. Happens all the time. Most people don't. But here's the thing. You have a list of people who've already raised their hand and opened their wallets for help in that topic. And so there's other ways to invite them into your signature offer without big launches. hosting informal Q&As, sending personal invites, doing flash sales. Like there's other ways to move your workshop buyers into your signature offer. And so those can be regular things that you schedule. Once a month, I'm going to do a buyer's launch. It's going to be really chill. I'm going to open up 10 spots or 5 spots, and I'm going to send it to people who meet some criteria, who've logged into the workshop portal in the last 10 days. I'm going to look into my LMS, learning management software, and see who's watched it. I'm going to I'm going to reach out to the people who I had a great conversation with during the launch who I haven't connected with in a while. I'm just going to see how they're doing. So there's all sorts of ways that you can do this without having 64 bonuses, 800 affiliates, 200 emails, timers, all the craziness that work, but require so much stress and are super heavy.
Yeah, workshops just build up so much trust, and that trust doesn't dissipate immediately. I think that's evidenced by the fact that, we have so many folks who upgrade weeks, months, years after they buy our workshops. And I think that's the power of mini workshops.
Okay. Literally every step outlined there in order for you to launch a paid workshop in the next 7 days.
Yeah.
If you keep it light.
That's it. And I know we just shared a lot of nuance, a lot of context, a lot of examples, and a lot of stories, but don't lose sight of the fact that at the end of the day, this is all that's happening. You're picking something to do a workshop about and deciding when it's happening. You're setting up a Zoom room and a way for people to buy it. You're letting people know that it's happening. And then you're showing up for an hour or two to just help them with the thing that you're best at.
Yep.
That's all that it is. So don't lose sight of the forest for the trees. I think that's the saying that, like, we've covered some nuance, and I think that stuff is important. Like, let that settle in, let that sink in. The nuances do matter. And at the end of the day, this is all that it really takes to host a mini workshop.
Yeah. And we've got one final warning for you. Do not let complexity get in the way, because you will be able to add complexity. You will be able to make things more complicated than they need to be. Tech, the offer, the bonuses, multiple different types of workshops woven into one, all sorts of things that you can get creative with. Every time you add complexity, it means you're less likely to do another workshop, and it gets in the way of actually just letting these be light, letting them help the people who, again, need a little sample, who need to see you're the right one for them, who are just excited to give you money to help them with a specific problem. When you add complexity and you don't launch these, none of that happens.
Yeah. And remember, you're seeing version 3 of this that's been 4 years in the making. And so when you do it live, you're not going to have all of these elements, and that's a-okay. We have crushed it with workshops that were really simple that we threw together in a week with a simple checkout page, a simple payment link, a simple Zoom room, and had an awesome time.
And here's the goal. Remember, mini workshops, so you can create cash flow in a light lift way when you want it. You can get paid to create content and assets. You can build a list of buyers or find buyers already on your list, and you can upgrade them into your signature offer, whatever it is, without the big stressful launch. And to wrap this up, we've got a 7-day step-by-step launch checklist for you. So you literally can just map it out and what you need to do each day to get your next workshop done and dusted. 7 days. That's it.
None of this magic happens till you make it happen. You've got all of the stuff that you need to do to make it happen, and we're excited.
We've already hinted at this, so we've got something for y'all. First of all, we want to be abundantly clear. You absolutely don't need anything else to launch a workshop. Literally everything we're including in Mini Workshop Magic, all the templates, the checklist, the checkout page template, literally everything is in there if you want to launch a workshop. And we have countless folks who run with these resources and launch successful workshops. If you are the type of person who says, no, I actually want some help. Like, I want you guys to help me walk through this process and make sure my workshop is successful. Make sure that I'm upgrading folks into my backend offer. Make sure that I'm avoiding potential pitfalls. We want to help you. This is literally why we exist, why Wake Up to Freedom exists, is helping folks, business owners, wake up to more freedom in your business and in your life using simple vehicles like mini workshops.